lawyer Paul Adom Otre release a full document and analysis according to a Baumia's campaign and as according to the flag bearer for the New Patriotic Party campaign and according to the flag bearer for the National Democratic Congress, former President John Dramani Mahama. Now, according to documents, the two journals, according to analysis, or the two journals, Sentinel, the probability say, the we MPP Amanuku Nana said the New Patriotic Party ebe winning a December 7th election no akwa very high because in the performance and as the project nko this year odia to dwano anu ye den papa if so hwe igeta waye ne friends and helicopters awato ama the Ghana Police Service ne nyama waye project ogusu oya ane ne send oya the campaign na ane send otutu ne nyama comparing him to a former President John Dramani Mahama. The probability say obe winning election no very high. In TSM no yakunu kutisa and same way tremumbra madam wase.
From 56 to 44. Now, this is because the MPP started with pushing the party agenda, which was already working, but then the mistakes of Professor Mills played into the hands of the MPP, and they began to push the John Kufuor agenda. So, by the time voting was coming, everybody knew that the gentle giant was going to be the new president of Ghana. That's how it was fought. I'm coming up to show why this is important and what it means, okay? All right, so let's move to the next election. The next election that we select for this purpose is 2008. The very, very eventful 2008 election. For me, it's one of the most competitive. It's not for me, it's the record shows that is the most competitive election that went into 3 rounds when the constitution has provided only 2 rounds. Will suggest that it was very competitive, wasn't it? Okay. So in this election, John Kufuor had finished his tenure as president, and the MPP had gone through an acrimonious and rancorous Congress and had elected Nana Akufo-Addo, who had a dominant political name. Not just because he was inheriting a name from his father who was a ceremonial president, but especially Chief Justice. And Akufo-Addo's father, even though he was a ceremonial president in the Second Republic, had done more in the judicial system, in jurisprudence, than in politics. And so whilst he was ceremonial president, he was better known by the Association of Lawyers, the Ghana Bar Association, judges and co, because he had done significant jurisprudential work that got him to become the Lord Chief Justice before he became the ceremonial president of Ghana. But Akufo-Addo's image had been built on human rights law and pure politics. In that sense, he had developed a huge political image, not so much of a legal image like his father, but his legal was also connected to the politics because his legal was thought to be a human rights lawyer, which is also thought to be political advocacy. Okay, so here was Akufo-Addo, the dominant name in the country. And Professor Mills had been contesting the elections. He had lost in 2000, he had lost in 2004, and he had managed to generate an image for himself, that which he desperately needed in the year 2000, the image of a peacemaker, Asumdwehene, as they called him. So Mills had by now acquired that image. That he's a peacemaker. He doesn't shout on people. He's not going to be abrasive. He's not going to be all of that. The NDC were also struggling in the election to push the agenda of party versus party, because at that time the economic conditions were fairly good, except 1 or 2 issues. The economic conditions were fairly good. Kufuor's administration had issued so many firsts. National health insurance had come to Ghana, public transport had been fixed, capitation grant, the F-Cube had been launched. So Kufuor's government had a lot to say. And anyone inheriting Kufuor's government had a lot to say. Plenty was going to be said. Ghana had discovered oil, and all of that was there for Kufuor's government. The MDC were struggling to find a way to push the party agenda that could fail. In the alternative, they decided to push the personality agenda. To do so, they needed to push Professor Mills' personality as the kingmaker and create the impression that Akufo-Addo was, as a peacemaker, and create the impression that Akufo-Addo was rancorous, he was abrasive, he was that image which Ghanaians had rejected in 2000 of Rawlings and his party. They were trying hard to now dump the image on Akufo-Addo. In doing so, they went overboard to the extent, as we now know, that Fifi Kwete and Co went to Parliament to apologize and withdraw their words for the things they said about Akufo-Addo. They said he's a drug dealer, he does this, he's a that. Now, they needed to do that, because if you don't dent Akufo-Addo's image, this is a straight victory for the MPP. No issues about it. It is a breaking the eighth they were looking for. It's a third term they were looking for, which is difficult all over the world. But the party image and the colossal image of Akufo-Addo was going to just take the MPP to victory. The other problem that the NDC didn't create but benefited, inured to their benefit, was the divisions within the MPP. The election of Akufo-Addo among several 20-something, 17 candidates had dented the unity of the MPP. And when I interviewed John Kufuor, he told me that I've played it here so many times. So that also was working in the backyard of the MPP. So the MPP's kitchen was boiling in ways that they didn't like. And outside in the public image, they were showing great unity, but they had at least 19 candidates running as independents in some of the strongholds of the MPP. That was going to work in favor of the NDC. But this is how election 2008 was fought. So Nana Akufo-Addo versus Mills Akufo-Addo, the NDC tried to damage Akufo-Addo's image because the party versus party, they were not winning it. And then the personality too, if they are not careful, they won't win it. What happened? At the end of the first round, Professor Mills had come second. He had been defeated by Akufo-Addo in the first round, 47.92. Akufo-Addo had 49.13, needing 25,000 votes to clinch the victory. But this is the thing. The MPP, the NDC had won in Parliament. They had overtaken the MPP in Parliament. That, I think, was the biggest Waterloo to Akufo-Addo's quest to be president in 2008. Not so much the results of the first round, but the fact that the NDC had beaten the MPP in Parliament, and therefore the NDC had more parliamentary candidates, or more parliamentary MPs, elected parliamentary candidates than the MPP had. So that created an easy campaign for the NDC in the second round. And that was a campaign that Ghanaians can understand. We've won the parliament. Why are you not going to give us the presidency? The excitement also that some Ghanaians have, and generally some people around the world have, the excitement of removing the old system and placing a new one, that creates a frenzy a little bit, just with the expectation of what is going to happen, who are going to be the new ministers, and that expectation also got some of the youth to help Professor Mills to win. But even in all that, 47.92, he was still behind Akufo-Addo. That shows the power of the MPP image and also the dominant nature of the flag bearer. Looking for a third term and defeating the candidates who had run two elections already. This is what happened. In the second round, and you remember Kufuor's second round. In Kufuor's second round, he came up with 56% straight away. Now in the second round, Professor Mills came up with 50.23%. Akufo-Addo came up with 49.77. So you see that Akufo-Addo improved in the second round, but was not enough to take out Mills, and Mills had such a significant windfall to be able to win. And let's check out what happened in Parliament here. And we already know that what happened in Parliament was that the MPP had been defeated in Parliament, and therefore the second round was easy for Professor Mills. But if you check the results out there, you will see that this was a campaign that was lost by the MPP, not so much that it was won by the NDC. But of course, victory is for the NDC. Let's move on and see what happens in the next one, 2016. So in 2012, there was an election. Little to say about that. The election petition makes 2012's election very difficult to decide, to analyze on the basis of who won and all that, because the votes that were attributed to people is all still in doubt. Whether Akufo-Addo got what they said he got, whether President Mahama got what they said he got. The election petition cast all of that in doubt. Not just that, the final day of the election petition, the announcement that came, all of those things shrouded election 2012 in complete doubt. And so we are not able to discuss that in some detail. Let's go, however, to 2016, the one that is undisputed and everybody accept the results. By 2016, the NPP were very confident to push the agenda of the party. Party to party, NPP said, look at them. They have done 8 years. You've seen them. You saw our 8 years. It is better than their 8 years. And it was very obvious, flatly obvious. Doomsday had come. Ghanaians had experienced doomsday